Approaching 7:42 here on your Friday morning wake-up call. Now it's time for Friday with Fuzz, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Michael Greene.
Thank you, Derek. In studio with us today is Elgin's Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Day late to everyone.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's a Thanksgiving weekend, right?
I'm sure there's some great stories. Everybody being family, there's always probably a lot of... everybody's got a few, right? Family.
I have some stories, but yeah, we talked about some of those off there. It's amazing to me just how a family can branch off so differently. Yeah.
Anyway. Could they be listening right now?
It's possible, but highly unlikely. But anyway,
We love them all.
I do love them.
We love
There's
them.
no doubt about that. Also, you brought in a guest, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but last night in the city of Elgin, you guys had a shooting and also made an arrest last night, right? Or no, you have not. I'm sorry, that is not with the release. Yeah, I was thinking another case that we were talking about. So, I had a shooting in Elgin last night about 8 o'clock. Male victim, gunshot wound, 800 block of East Chicago. Can you talk to it a little bit? Non-life-threatening injuries?
Yeah, not a whole lot really to it because we're still working through it. But I know it always sounds strange for some people that gunshot wounds, non-life-threatening injuries. How's that possible? But obviously, depending on where someone is shot. So we put that out just because some people are always asking, especially the media, how serious is it? Where were they shot? So we generally just put it out, non-life-threatening injuries or persons in serious condition, and if we don't know. So last night about 8 o'clock, I think we went to it was about the 800 block of East Chicago Street. Reported somebody who was down on the ground who had been shot, and officers found the victim and. Been working through the victim, with the victim a little bit, transported him up to the hospital. Fire department did, obviously, and then we're still working the case. Our gang unit is the one taking the lead on it right now. So
I know we talked about that in the past. Is that preliminarily you believe it possibly to be gang related? Is that why the gang crimes is leading the investigation, or? But that's not always the case, right? That's why kind of why I'm asking.
Yeah, we use the determination from the supervisors on the scene. So. Supervisor shows up and the officers, and based on what we have at that time, we determine whether or not it's going to be gang motivated or not. Are there any gang ties? But many times it changes very quickly, and depending on how much information we're getting at the front. So again, not talking about this case at all, but we can have a gang member who gets involved in a domestic. And I know we're going to talk about domestic in a moment. But that's not a gang-motivated crime, so the gang unit doesn't investigate that. So gang members are involved in a lot of things. Sometimes they get arrested for retail theft. They can also get in fights over girls or over boys. And so when they're arrested for that or there's an investigation for it, it's not necessarily a gang crime because it's not about that. So it's just the preliminary information. It changes, and our gang unit works very closely with our major investigations division as well. So it's something that we put out there. Just there's something there that our gang unit wants to look at, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything more than that. And so when we make an arrest, we will generally put that out there, whether or not the reasons for it.
If anybody's looking, if anybody has any information, you can contact the Elgin Police at 847-289-2695. Also anonymously, 847-695-4195, or by texting, and that's 847-411 Elgin PD at the beginning of the text, and then the message information. So that information that gets called and sorted, so it's coming to you. The domestic incident we were talking about, and I don't want to say it's funny, right? Because that's not what I'm trying to say. But when I guess it's different. Your mindset is, and I guess maybe just the way people were raised. When you think of a domestic issue, you think of husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, something like that. But in this case, it sounds like it may not be that, or we don't know. Gentleman had a finger bitten off.
Yes.
And it was a domestic battery after he bit off another man's fingertip. And also punched him in the face, broke his nose. I mean, it sounds like a blowout fight more than a domestic. I mean, so how does that get? I guess the determination, how does that get made?
Yeah, a family fight is basically a domestic. So I know a lot of times you talk about domestic, you're always thinking...
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Right. But, and I think this might be the case with this, but I'm not sure. But, two brothers who get in a fight, a brother and sister who get in a fight, a parent who gets in a fight with their son or daughter, obviously depending on the age. Right, it's domestic. Yeah. So, and a lot of it deals with, it's not just, there doesn't have to be a relationship at that moment. So ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-husbands, ex-wives. So if there'd ever been any type of dating relationship, or if they were married at some point, so, stepbrothers and stepsisters who live together, as a part of a family, whatever. So it's a family type of thing, and then when there's a fight that occurs, it becomes a domestic. And so that's why it's determined, the title's called a domestic. And On this one, yeah, they get pretty. It's some of the most dangerous calls police officers go on because a lot of times people are mad at each other, and then the police are there, and when the police make an arrest of one of the people or start pulling them out,
that's my brother, that's my wife, that's my husband.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm mad at the husband or I'm mad at the wife, but now you're putting your hands on them and they're taking them away. And a lot of times the light bulb goes on, and we've talked about this before when we've had our interns here with Lark as well, talking about domestic violence, and they want the issue to stop at that moment, but. As soon as they realize then when we start arresting someone that, okay, hold on a second, they're not going to go to work tomorrow. When they get out, they're going to be even more mad at me. All these things start going through their head. So sometimes then all parties involved turn on the police and don't want the police to now get involved. So they become they're very heated many times. So sometimes they're just arguments, and that's why we like when people call, and they just hear an argument's happening and it doesn't have to elevate all the way to somebody getting, unfortunately some type of physical abuse. But this woman sounded pretty active. Yes, a finger was bitten off, and so it's pretty serious. So arrest was made on the other hand.
When you say actually finger bitten off, I mean it was actually severed. It was like, oof. That takes a lot of force, I imagine. I mean, you're not a physicist or a physiologist or anything, but yeah.
Not that you know of.
Not that I know.
Maybe.
You
It was my minor.
You were the MVP of your basketball team.
Yes, I
weren't you? And you had your number retired.
Something like that.
Something like
sure,
that.
Sure. We'll keep growing that. Eventually it'll be NBA. It'll be right. Nobody will ever check that. Right?
We've talked about it a bunch of times on the show already, and you brought in a guest with you, and we want to talk about that now. But the 311, I guess, right, is going on where now certain calls or certain types of incidents can be routed, because before I think a lot of it was going to the Elgin non-emergency number, or it was going. I live in Huntley. I think I've talked about that before. As an example, and I think this would be a perfect time when you could call 311. That night we had the huge snowstorm where we got like 13 inches of snow or 15, whatever it was. Huntley got about the same thing, and the plow came by and left an 8-foot by 2-foot frozen piece of like ice and snow at the end of my driveway. Right smack in the middle. There was no way I was going to get either one of my cars out of the driveway. And I waited. Hey, they're coming back around. Hour goes by. They didn't come back around. Another hour goes by. I tried calling the Public Works Department. No answer. I called the Huntley Police, because who else was I going to call? And I'm like, hey, I know this isn't you. I really feel bad on a night like this when you're probably getting a lot more calls, but I'm going to need to get my car out, and there's no way I'm moving this frozen piece of ice. What do I do? But you guys have 311. Right, and that would be a call, I would imagine, that would kind of go to that, as an example.
Right, many things. I'm not sure they would come and shovel out your driveway.
No, but they could communicate that.
Yes, they can say, yeah, exactly. And that is, I mean, that's many people's pet peeves. I mean, I shovel my driveway too, and it's mine as well. But
could have moved it seriously like 2 feet over, and it would have just, I would have been able to clear out.
I'm glad you're over it though.
Never. I hold grudges. I don't know if you know that.
So 311. And I'll let Laura explain. Laura Valdez is with the city manager's office and is part of the 311 and 311 mobile app. But in a nutshell, there were before 311, when people had issues with the city, you knew to call 911. There's emergency, and then everybody called non-emergency police for everything else. Or if you had a water, question about your water bill, you didn't really know who to call. And I think one time I heard the city manager talk that there were, I don't know, Laura, like 50 different numbers for the city, 70 different numbers for the city of Elgin. So the residents were left kind of guessing, and then maybe they leave a voicemail, and so it was just really ineffective, very inefficient, I guess to say. So the idea of 311 started, and now it's really just taken off. I know at every neighborhood meeting I go to, one of the bright spots that always pops up is somebody's used 311 and just love it. And so maybe we'll turn over with you and Laura and talk up a little bit about what 311 is, and then the mobile app and why that's kind of a new and creative thing that's going on.
Laura, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So have you been starting with this from ground zero, basically?
Well, actually, it started back in 2009, so I came to the city in, I think, 2012. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So the city manager came on, as city manager, and one of his visions was to have, 311. And so, as easy as it is for you to contact 911, we have about 20 city departments and divisions, and so 911 covers police and fire, and then we have 18 others who are interacting with residents on a daily basis. And so, so this idea of this one-stop shop for all your non-emergency issues, that's where 311 was born. So 311 as a department started in 2014, so we're coming up in 2 years now, which is really exciting. we take about 400 to 500 calls a day, so obviously people can call in just 311. That's all you have to remember. And then if you're outside of the city limits, you can go ahead and call. We have a 9 or 10-digit number that you can call.
How does that work for somebody who might have a cell phone for calling 311? I mean, I imagine 311, and if you've got an Elgin Exchange home phone,
Yeah.
no problem. It's just
Yeah.
going to 311. But if I don't have home phone service and I just use my cell phone for that, and I call 311, and I'm
Yeah.
in Bartlett, what's going to happen?
Well, if there was a 311 out there, you would get that 311.
Okay.
So it's just like 911. So
Okay.
wherever you're at, you'll get that closest
Gotcha.
call center.
So as long as I'm kind of within the city limits and everything else.
Yeah, but you can call 847-931-6001 if you're outside of the city limits, and you'll get 311.
Okay.
So that's actually how we connected on the mobile app as well. But taking a step back, I mean, when we launched 311, the idea was, let's just start getting calls coming in. You know, people call for those non-emergency issues. So we immediately pushed over all the public works numbers. You know, we have a lot of numbers to work through. We have about 70 city numbers. But we started to push over public works, water billing is actually over there as well, code enforcement, so if people call community development, they'll first get community development, but if there's an overflow, then they will, they'll get kicked over to 311. And internally, everybody's on the same system. We use this thing called Chatter. It's kind of like a social media type thing for city employees. And so any city department, all 20 city departments are on the same system. And so
Okay.
if somebody calls into 311 with a request and it's a code enforcement issue, or if it's a police issue, or if it's a fire issue, you can actually see what the resident is talking about and if they have a history of certain claims. So, so far, yeah, it's been going really, really well. And the whole purpose is for 311 is to be, to have fast access to city government or to your, to city employees. And so, obviously you can call. We have email, so you can email elgin311@cityofelgin.org, and then we developed a mobile app, just because everyone seems to have a phone in their hand all the time.
Well, Jeff and I have talked about 311 for months now, it seems, and
I finally delivered by getting some right.
I
always said, I'm going to have somebody from 311.
only going there, man. Throw your cell phone in the bus.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple weeks ago, I decided, after we had talked, that he had mentioned that the 311 app was now available. I downloaded it. Not even, this was even knowing that you were going to be here. It's not like I did it this morning. And one of the funny things was, when you're setting it up, it asks, would you like to receive push notifications? Well, I get 3 work emails. I've got several different, social media outlets. I've got internal work communication, group chats, like you guys have, for my full-time job. And so I chose not to. And I imagine, like I'm looking at the page right now, and it has Elgin today, and then, where it's talking about refuse collection is delayed a day. All non-emergency city offices are closed Thursday and Friday. So it's kind of got some stuff, that are kind of like highlight, and then you can go into each one if there's an arrow, I guess, and read more about it. But are those the kind of things you would get from the push notifications, or would you get emergency situations, like if the road was closed or there was an accident, or?
Yeah, so actually when we originally developed the app and launched it in April, that's when we originally pushed it out. It didn't have those push notification features, and what's really interesting and kind of nice about app development, I'm not a professional in app development.
You're not an app developer?
No, I'm not. But in 311 and in the city manager's office, we just have a great team of people who are always talking about how people are connecting with the city. And beyond that too, I mean, because we have so many city employees who are constantly, working with residents, we reach out to them to see how people prefer to receive information. And so, yeah, we launched it back in April. We have close to 2,000 downloads now. And then we did an update at the beginning of October, I want to say. And that's where we started to do push notifications. But really, we wanted to make it as simple as possible. There's a lot of cities out there actually who do have apps as well, but they're kind of standard, you purchase one type of mobile app and you deploy it in your city, whereas we actually worked with an intern who came out of Elgin Community College.
Nice.
And has since moved on and flourished. But anyway, yeah, so there's 3 main points to the mobile app. There's the Elgin Today, that home screen that you see, and those are the key things that are happening in the community. Yep. So, I know even like this week, it's a holiday week, and so garbage collection is one of those calls that we get all the time. Is it delayed? Do you have leaf collection? So since we had that big snowstorm, we do on-street leaf pickup, but we actually have suspended the program because the same crews who do leaf pickup also do snow collection, and so we push that information out as well, just to let people know that, you know, I know all the snow is melted and that you have leaves on the ground, but
And you like them gone before the next snow
yeah,
comes?
yeah. So, you know, those types of notifications go out, just general public service stuff. But then we also do have Christy, who helps us out on the public safety side. And if there are road closures that she knows about, then she pushes those out on Elgin Today as well.
Also, you can go, there's like a little menu option, and it gives you what's happening. So we won't do that segment on our show anymore. We do it every day. 311 requests. My contact info, I'm not quite sure. That's where you can set up your own information. Is that for like reverse?
No, it's actually not. It's just to save your contact information in there. So that was one of the top feedback that we got after the first release, because every time you submitted a 311 request, you would have to enter your contact information every single time. So it's just an efficiency.
So now if you put your contact information in, if you then make a 311 request, it automatically populates itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, and so then you can also receive push notifications for 311 requests that you put in as well. So,
well, that What's Happening segment is huge. I mean, it's got, 8 different categories?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Arts and entertainment, business, city updates, education, health, neighborhoods, recreation, and transportation. And then within each one, there's specific information. I mean, how many people do you have working on this 311 app? It's huge.
Well, Dan Alt in the city manager's office, he's driving a lot of our, technology roadmap in the city. I also was, of course, involved, and then 311 advocates, actually. So the way that the What's Happening section works is it's really easy on our end. We just pull Twitter feeds from around the community, and whatever you post on Twitter, that automatically gets pushed out on What's Happening. So
I see. So it's like linked together. So it's not like it has to be entered twice. So this call type of an accident for the Elgin Police Department 40 minutes ago on the 70 block of North Airlight, somebody didn't have to enter that in again. It was done once, and it gets pushed here.
Yeah, and this is something that we're really proud of, and we love the Elgin Today section and the push notifications to make sure that residents get information right away in the palm of their hand. But What's Happening, we have over 60 Twitter handles from around the community, and it's something that we're just constantly refining because, again, it's how do people prefer to receive information? What are they looking at? So out of our 2,000 users, we know that about 86% are coming back on a regular basis to look at the app, and it's only for about a couple of minutes. I mean, they go in. We don't collect a lot of data. We just try to look to see
how they're using it.
How people are using it. And the number one section that people are going to is this What's Happening section, because you can find out, what's going on in public safety, what's going on in education, transportation, and of course then with police automatically tweeting their accidents and some of those call types that they've set up through their 911 system, those automatically get pushed out, and so a future release will actually have a specific section just for those call types. So that, as you scroll through, there's a lot of PD tweets that come through, and we want to make sure that that gets attention, but also doesn't hog the space also from all the other city updates that we have going on.
There's, I just looked at the health section. You've got tweets from Advocate Sherman, King County Health, Well Child Center, the USDA Team Nutrition, which was retweeted. Much American Heart Association on there. I mean, so there's stuff that I wouldn't imagine that Elgin would be having in their 311 app, because it may not necessarily be Elgin based solely.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not just about it's not just about the city. It's about your community and knowing what's happening around you and being able to be involved with that. And so even through all of those, the What's Happening section, you can share information as well socially. You can share it via text. You can share it through email. So if you see a tweet that you like, which you don't even have to be a Twitter user to be able to access that information. We're doing all the work for you. You can go in and send something, hey, there was an accident, just to give you a heads up, Mom, on your way to work. So we've seen that people are doing that as well. So it's really great, the mobile app is something that will just constantly be refined.
This is available among all platforms of types of devices. So you have like your standard iPhone, you have an Android smartphone, BlackBerry, there's Windows. Is it
not Windows.
All of those?
No,
not Windows yet?
Windows.
Windows is funny like that. They're slow to roll stuff out sometimes.
It's interesting. I mean, just the technical side of things. I never thought I'd learn so much about app, things like that. But so yeah, it is available on Google Play and iTunes. It's not available for your iPad. It originally was, and so we've been having some issues. So the next release will include just greater access for that.
And is there an Elgin 311 website?
Yeah, on the city's website, you can go to cityofelgin.org/.
But not like its own, it's all through the city. Yep.
Yeah, it's all through the city. I mean, we're trying.
It's a big site.
It is a very large
Big
site. Yeah. We're trying, websites obviously are going to exist for a very long time, but we're trying to move toward, again, how people interact with information, and that's through their mobile device. And so the mobile app was the number one thing that we rolled out after, of course, 3-in-1. And then we'll ultimately have what's called a marketplace. And so that's going to be an online mobile destination where you can go and actually, again, interact with the city. If you need to pull permits for anything, if you're, you can go there and see your history and reminders of when you need to pull those permits. You can submit 3-in-1 requests through there, pay your water bill. You can, all sorts of things that, of course, we're also going to be considered for the mobile app as well. But
I was going to ask you, what more is on the mobile app docket that may not be on there today? Like, what's something we can look toward for the future?
Yeah, the future. Water
Breaking
billing.
news.
Yeah, water billing would be the next big thing that we're going to be pushing out. Yeah. So I know, as somebody who pays a water bill to the city, if it could be easier, I would really like that a lot. So it might be a little selfish, but so we have 3-in-1 requests, what's happening in the mobile app, and then ultimately you'll be able to pay your water bills with 3-in-1 requests still. And that's kind of it. One of the things actually people don't know about Elgin is that we have a registered weather area over at the Riverside Water Treatment Plant. And so we have individuals every 2 hours who
I've seen the camera feeds occasionally.
Yeah. So we're actually going to be pushing some of that on the mobile app as well. So you can actually get Elgin-specific weather-related information that's accurate through your mobile app.
Derek's a big weather guy.
I am.
He loves the weather.
All right.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And our old show host always wanted to be one of those weather chasers or like storm chasers. Yeah. So
I'd love to do that.
that was when I started first looking at like the little weather cameras. I didn't even know they existed before that. So.
No, it's very cool. So, everything really that's happening at the city, again, I talked about permits before, really any way that you have to interact with the city, you should be able to do it through the mobile app, or at least through our marketplace that will launch in 2016, 2017. So it's really kind of taking a look, at our resident first and those people who do business with us, putting, as developers, putting our own resident hat on and saying, how do you like to
So I asked what might be coming in the future. Let me ask you another question.
Sure.
So what is currently available through the 311 app that you say we really don't like and we want to fix?
Oh, wow, what a question. So actually we have this whole section on frequently asked questions that is just one of those things that we need to really build up. It could have a lot of really useful information in there, and so it's something that it's there. It's not as good as it could be. And so that's just a matter of, sitting down with 311 and saying, what questions are you guys getting, and getting that information out there. So really, I love everything about the app. Of course, I'm a biased toward that, yeah. But again, we just try to make it simple, get you information. You don't have to, you can sign up for push notifications, but you don't have to receive them, like you mentioned.
Can you opt back in if you choose not to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, right through the menu. And actually somebody who works on developing an app, I'm not somebody who downloads a whole bunch of apps, and I'm not somebody who is very tech savvy. And so as we were going through this, it's called user experience. As we're going through this user experience process, I'm thinking about myself, okay, how can I easily get to this information? I don't have to think too hard.
Yeah.
To go to my settings and change all this stuff, you can just change all that right.
Well, interesting, right? Even through like the menu, you can go in and turn on your notifications. You can get Elgin updates, 311 request updates, so you can get push notifications and that. But I had never really looked at the more until just now. And you can get a downtown parking map.
Yep.
You can submit feedback. You can watch Elgin 311 video. Are there any videos on there currently?
There are. We have a great video.
Oh, and you can go to YouTube. All right. Jeff's got some good videos, like him dressed up as a fireman one day. And
Oh, you do?
Stuff like that. I don't know if you want to throw any of that
Oh,
stuff. But
yeah.
we take a shot at Swoboda. You know that, right? Yeah.
I think what's cool about it, and I knew about it, but just even hearing more, I think she gave a little more information than I gave last time.
I think a little.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think I gave the number out with 311.
But 311. Hang on, I got the number for you right here. Let me look that up.
Trying to use a website on your cell phone is
It's
just
brutal.
terrible. And do you want to use the mobiles portion, or do you want to go to the full site? So it's to be able to get all those things just on your, and that's where everybody's going, is to the mobile
Sure.
device. So yeah, actually that is a really good video. I saw that video. Yeah. So yeah, it's just so cool how it's all kind of coming together. And I think, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, if people did have feedback what they would really want to know about, I mean, you guys are all ears, right? You guys
Oh my
listen
gosh,
and-
yes, yeah. We need all the help we can get to.
How do they contact you? No, I'm just kidding. 311
No,
to
there's
submit
a thing,
feedback,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Feedback.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Well, Laura Valdez, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you
Great
for having
information. Looks like, I mean, I enjoyed it. I told you just last week, I really wish Huntley had something like that. There was some way to contact. It's a huge resource. It's very nice. And it's good for the City of Elgin. Kudos again, right?
It's great teamwork.
And yeah, I imagine, I can't even imagine how many people it must take to get in 70 different departments, you said, in the city?
Oh, 20, yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Sometimes
70
it seems like
numbers.
70, yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot of info. It's a lot of info. All right, Chief, you did good?
Didn't I?
You brought in, yeah, good information.
Got off easy.
I know, you just gonna
Thanksgiving.
sat here? Yeah, no, it's just sat there.
Just
Yeah.
sat here.
All right, well, to the Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda, and Laura Valdez, thank you very much for joining us today. And yes, Jerry started the
house.
music, but we had an open house, which we'll talk about
Next Saturday.
more next Friday, but it's next Saturday.
Yep, just so people can prepare. Next Saturday at the police department, 12 to 5.
And you're gonna have the police dogs there, right?
Dogs, everything, yeah.
Exhibits, kind of,
Yep.
like for the dogs.
If anybody wants to be a police officer, explorer stuff, the police equipment, SWAT stuff, all that'll be out there.
The bat.
The bat will be there.
Can I take it for a test drive?
No.
You got it that weekend, don't you?
I do.
All right.
Just take them. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in, guys. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
You're listening to AM 1410 WRMN.
And Elgin.